Higher rates don't tend to mean good things for REITs or real estate investment trusts, largely due to the increased cost of borrowing. Now, Kimco Realty isn't playing into that story, however. It's an outperformer in the commercial real estate space, with shares up more than 16% in just the past month, and strong third quarter results are pushing that bullish narrative on Wall Street, with revenue up 18% from just a year ago. For more on that, we want to bring in Connor Flynn, CEO of Kimco Realty. Connor, it's great to see you again. So it doesn't look like, when we talk about the fact that the real estate market is slowing down, a possible recession looming, obviously you would think it would mean pretty concerning time for your business. Kimco, though, seems to be in a pretty great position. What's your assessment just of where you stand and what we could likely see over the coming months?
It's great to see you too. Thanks for having me. Kimco is in the sweet spot of retail right now. Grocery anchored shopping centers, which is what we primarily own, continues to be in the retail revival. You're seeing it with demand across all the different square footages that we have in our shopping centers. And a lot of it has to do with some major takeaways that we were net beneficiaries of the pandemic. So the big key is really understanding that brick and mortar versus e-commerce. That debate is really settled. It really is a combination of the two that is the sweet spot that makes retailers more profitable and connect deeper with their consumer. And that's what's really driving the robust demand across our shopping centers, is when you think about the big powerhouses of e-commerce, they're actually all opening physical stores, and they're using those stores not only to sell merchandise out of it, but using it as last mile distribution fulfillment. And that's the game changer. That's really what's driving our robust results and allowing us to beat and raise multiple times this year.
Oftentimes we've heard about the death of brick and mortar, Connor, and yet the numbers are astounding right now. Retail vacancies in the second quarter, 6.1%, the lowest in 15 years. More stores opened than closed in 21 for the first time since 1995. What is pushing people back to stores and in some cases away from e-commerce?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with human nature. I think when some things get taken away from you, all of a sudden you start to realize how much you really need that, or you want it. And I think that's what happened. And what we're seeing is a robust surge in services. So a lot of people during the pandemic really spent all of their dollars on goods. And now you're seeing it really shift back towards the service part of the economy. And with the grocery anchored shopping center, that really comes down to the hair salons, the nail salons, a lot of the medical, the health and wellness uses that are doing quite well today. So you're seeing it across the spectrum of what really works today in retail. And the fascinating part is the consumer still is engaging in the shopping center on a higher rate than they were even last year. And that's good news for shoppers, and that's good news for retailers. And obviously where sales go, we can increase rents then.
Connor, when you take a look at some of your larger tenants, you have all the big names from TJX to Home Depot to Whole Foods as your anchor tenants. They make up about 54% of your space there. But you also have large exposure to small shop tenants, making up 46% of your portfolio. With the risk of recession, fears that maybe some of the smaller shops won't be able to pay their rent. Are you starting to see any evidence of this?
We're looking for it, but we haven't seen any cracks yet. And one of the things to keep in mind with the small shops, which sometimes makes you think about maybe the local pizzeria, our small shops are large national chains. So JP Morgan Chase is actually the largest small shop tenant that we have in the portfolio. And you go across the top 50 small shops, and all of them are national and typically a high credit rating company. So we've seen it just across the board in terms of demand right now, really driving our results. And it's a nice part to be where I can let the results speak for themselves, because a lot of people had made up their mind on physical brick and mortar retail, and you could talk until you're blue in the face. And sometimes it's better to just let the results speak for themselves.
Just curious what you make of these new numbers out from Alignable that show 37% of small businesses unable to pay their rent for the month of October. The number we just showed, 50% in Massachusetts. New York and New Jersey right there on its heels. Pennsylvania also in the top 5. These are states where you have properties.
Yeah, that's an interesting stat. I mean, think about the Kimco consumer and the Kimco shopping center. We're typically the first ring suburb in the major metropolitan areas across the country. And that's where the affluent shopper continues to engage in the shopping center. I'm thinking that stat may include maybe some of the lower demographic areas. And when you think about the inflationary pressures that people are really dealing with today, that's where we've seen, I think, the lower demographic really feel the brunt of the issues that are facing the economy today. Is the inflationary impact is really having a dramatic effect on that lower demographic profile. Fortunately, Kimco is positioned really in the higher affluent areas. The first ring demographic, the first ring suburb is where, again, you saw the suburbanization effect take hold in the pandemic. So again, we were a beneficiary from that migration pattern.
And Connor Flynn, always great to have you, CEO of Kimco Realty. We look forward to having you back again soon. Thanks so much for joining us.